You're listening to the Paul Higgins podcast for SaaS consulting partners ready to scale beyond six figures without more work or a bigger team. Let's dive in. Tired of chasing leads and getting ignored online? What if your next 5 clients came from giving, not marketing? Today's guest built a thriving Salesforce consulting business without cold emails, paid ads, or content. He just showed up and helped others, and the work then followed. Hello, I'm Paul, and welcome to episode 621 of the Paul Higgins podcast. In this episode, I talked to André van Kampen from Camp Consult with the two Ks. Camp is K-A-M-P, K-O-N-S-U-L-T. He's a seasoned Salesforce consultant and community builder based in the Netherlands. André shares how he built a portfolio career across client delivery, ISV advising, and running large-scale community events, all without relying on traditional marketing. If you're a Salesforce or SaaS consulting partner who's tired of the hassle and wants smarter ways to win deals, you'll love this conversation. You'll learn why giving first is Andre's number one client acquisition strategy, how ISVs are missing the mark and how Andre is helping fill the gap, and what data quality, not just AI, really means for mid-market Salesforce client. Watch it on YouTube or listen wherever you get the podcast. Link in the comments. Over to André van Kampen from campconsult.com. Andre, fantastic to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and look, most times I'm interviewing someone on, North America, so it's great to have someone from Europe on the show. And it's late here, early for you, but really looking forward. I had a great conversation with you. You got a fantastic reputation within the Salesforce ecosystem for providing lots of value and also doing very good work yourself, which we'll sort of dive into in a moment. But why don't we kick off with who you love to work with from a direct client point of view?
Yeah. So with my consulting work, what I'm usually looking for is manufacturing customers, and I don't really like the projects or customers where everything's smooth sailing. Just give me a big mess, political fights, lots of technical debt, that kind of stuff. 10 subcontractors together that don't work well. That's the type of project I'm usually looking for.
The harder the better.
Yes.
Fantastic. And geography-wise, I said you're in Europe, but what geographies do you work across?
Let's say northwest of Europe, but yeah, Benelux region, Germany, UK, Belgium, Netherlands, all that. As long as they speak English or Dutch, I'm good.
Well, luckily I speak, as we learned when we first spoke today. English I can do, Dutch I'm not that great on. I know that you sort of run a portfolio career. If I summarize it, you've sort of got your direct clients, which you just articulated. You've got the work that you do with ISVs, and then you've got work that you do with events. In particular, you had a large event with Salesforce, ISVs and ISs, but now it's sort of moved, or SIs I should say, now it's sort of moved more into smaller. The first question I always ask someone like that is, do you ever stop working?
Well, it doesn't feel like I'm always working, even though I am. The Salesforce consulting work, that's at the moment the main thing. But then at some point, ages ago, I started organizing events as well. I just started as a volunteer and then kind of rolled into that world. And I still see it as a hobby, even though we've now also started a foundation, and we have a team of volunteers with the events, like the large You're Dreaming events, and it still feels like a hobby. So it doesn't really feel work, even though at any given time I'm probably doing something work related.
Yeah, great. And was that something, the organising and working with events, volunteering, etc., is that something that you had growing up in your childhood, or was it something you've always done, or was it something new once you saw a gap in the market?
Not necessarily organising events from early on. Pretty much my entire family, they work in hospitality. There was always quite a few people around me who were chefs or had a different role in hotels, restaurants, bars, which means, well, when I was really young, where you see the pram sitting in a bar or, on top of the pool table, that kind of stuff. And yeah, Of course, because it was around so much. When I was 14, I started working in restaurants myself. And I did that for about 9 years before I actually started my IT career.
Yeah, Brent. And look,
So yes, it has been around.
you've come from family. I got into it at about 18 to 24 all through university. And a friend of ours had a couple of establishments that I used to work at. And I think you never lose it. Like, for me now, even if I'm sitting casually and someone goes to sit down, I'll go to grab the chair. Or if someone hasn't got a drink, I'll go to pour it. A few of my friends actually don't like that because sometimes they walk out a lot drunker than they expected. But yeah, I think once it's in your blood, it's in your blood. And obviously, it's a lot more for you. I think it's a great, great industry to be brought up in to take that across. And how have you seen that play out with amongst your clients? So the direct work you do, like what do you do that you think some other partners don't do from, really a client care point of view?
Yeah, I think that's a really good word, the client care point of view, because that's indeed caring about your client without really wanting to do that and really seeing that as something I do and a lot of people don't, is just going that extra mile, those few extra steps just to make the clients really happy or give them something unexpected. And I found that it's almost kind of weird to say it out loud, but that's just something that comes naturally from the hospitality background. Like you said, someone doesn't have a drink, get them a drink. And it's the same with Salesforce consulting. Someone asks for this automation. That's nice. We'll make it work, but also make sure it looks pretty.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
little things.
Yeah, great. And is there any, I know different partners update their clients on projects in different ways. Is there any way that you do that is, unique to the way that you operate?
That really changes per client. The majority, especially if there's a large project, we'll give weekly updates, usually on a Friday afternoon. There's just a one page, just short and quick overview. But for the clients who prefer to have an in-person conversation, we often do that on Thursdays because for some reason that's when I'm usually at the customer side. So then end of the day, we have a coffee, or if it's past 5 and there's a bar nearby, we go and have a drink and socialize a bit and sort of do an official, unofficial recap of the week.
Yeah, fantastic. And just a reminder, we're at episode 621 and it's André van Kampen, and we'll have all the links, etc., in the show notes. You can go and see those now. So I talked about the direct clients. The next is around the ISV, and what sort of got you into that world? What was the blind spots that you saw ISVs not solving themselves?
Yeah, so I've worked in Salesforce ecosystem for a while, mainly as an implementation partner or as I partner. And one of my employers, we were an ISV partner. Well, we were trying to become an ISV partner. Going through that whole journey, I've learned a lot. And then starting to talk to other ISV partners because, organizing events in my spare time, there's just a lot of networking and you come across SI partners, customers, everyone else, and ISV partners. Started talking to them, and I just noticed we were all going through the same motions, the same problems. And then talking to them, I found that a lot of them really needed an extra marketing channel, a bit of help with the marketing. Because often, especially when you're starting out, you're so focused on the product to make the product work really well and sell it.
Yes.
But then everything around it, that's just kind of second priority.
Yeah, so true. And I've said on this podcast before, Coca-Cola, where I spent most of my career, it was a very simple product. So you had time to get more complicated with the sales and marketing. Whereas, often with our technology, it's the other way around, right? It's 80% of us understand the complexity. And, we're recording this in the middle of 2025 with AI, where none of us really knows where it's going to go. It's becoming even more and more complicated, which I'll ask you a question about in a moment. And saw it from a client's point of view. You went and started helping, and then a lot of people leave it there. Like, why did you take it further than that to help more?
So with all the community, let's say all the events I organize in the Salesforce community, for SI partners and for customers, that is so mature. It has been around for years, and
Yes.
and they get support from many teams within Salesforce. For ISV partners, it's just not there. And I've talked to Salesforce, other ISV partners, other community organizers, and everyone seemed to agree this is something we need, but it's not a priority for anyone. And for me, I'm like, well, this is something we need to help each other, because this is probably the first time I say it out loud. I'm also working on becoming an ISV partner again,
Yes.
different app. And I'm like, you know what? just all help each other because it's a relatively small community. It should be fairly easy to have quite a big impact for a lot of partners. And luckily, there's a lot of partners on this side of Europe. Good starting point.
Yeah, great. And look, I know that, there's amazing people that, and you're probably one of them listening now, that you've part of these, whether it's Salesforce, whether it's Zoho, whether it's Zohoholics, there's so many platforms that have got these peer-to-peer based community which sits outside of the SaaS part of platform itself. So for Coca-Cola, for example, Coca-Cola company had all the bottlers. So we used to get together and support each other from the bottlers' point of view. Sometimes it was as is, and I've experienced it in the SaaS world where you sort of have a marriage that is not always perfect. Both the ISV and the SI have to work with Salesforce and vice versa, but it's not always perfect, right? So sometimes it's good to have peers supporting. What I'm going with a long-winded question is, if someone's thinking of doing that, how much involvement is there by Salesforce? Like for you to set up this ISV community, do they support you or is it all done on your own steam?
Yeah, yes to both. I know that's a very consultant answer. Salesforce does support me in this, but there's no official community program that I'll then be part of. Just like with any other community, like the company that organizes the community or supports it has certain programs to support it. At the moment, what I get from Salesforce is they especially send people to have panel discussions. Actually get closer to the ISV partners and to each other. Because again, there's many different teams as well that support these partners. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And then I know that you were running large events and now you've gone to small events. What was the sort of catalyst for that?
That's a long answer. I'll try and keep it short. Of course, it's 2025 now, and COVID happened about 5 years ago.
Yes.
COVID has changed a lot of things. Before that, the events were growing, growing, growing. So we have this annual conference called Your Dreaming, and right before COVID, it was about 350 people and growing.
Yes.
Then we had to cancel and move a few times, and then 2023, the first time actually in person. After that, we had about 400 people, which is amazing. For some reason after that, people kind of went back into, I would almost say, COVID mindset. Like, oh, large groups of people, maybe I'll try and avoid that. Also realized that maybe travel is not so good for the environment. Let's just go to our local events because there's a lot more local events now. And then last one, especially in this part of Europe, the expenses for organizing events and especially catering and venue hire have often more than doubled, which means attendees would have to pay a lot more, sponsors would have to pay a lot more. And at some point, we're like, you know what? This is not fun anymore. And at the same time, with the user groups, that has also been growing consistently. And between 50 and 100 people is usually what we get there. And people seem to be a lot more happy there, learning a lot more, and they really have this community feeling of supporting each other and having this support network where you can expand your network, get to know people, but also learn something.
Yeah, great. And I'm going to draw a correlation between your background, which was, as you said, in hospitality, and the way that you've gone about gaining new clients is really leveraging that, your involvement in events. I know that you give a lot and then obviously you get some in return, even though you don't expect it. To me, that's sort of playing to your strengths. Your strengths are doing that versus, some partners are doing YouTube videos, some partners are doing, other things. Have I made a fair conclusion of you playing to your strengths, i.e. not doing paid ads, not doing YouTube videos, and not doing other things, but leveraging networking to ensure that you're, filling the pipeline for your direct client business, which we all need?
Yeah, indeed. I think it's a bit of both. Indeed, the visibility, the networking, just talking to people, that real in-person connection. Let's say face-to-face could be, via Zoom, could be actually in person. And another thing I've also noticed is with a lot of my customers are return customers,
Yes.
which means previous employers, previous customers. And I'd like to think because of those extra steps I talked about before, when you leave a company, you leave a project, you leave this good feeling behind.
Yes.
And then you stay visible with, let's say, the networking and community part.
Yes.
And at some point, they might come back. It could be a few months, could be a few years.
Yeah, and I love Stephen Covey's version of that, which he talked about putting deposits in the emotional bank account. So the more deposits you've got, Even if you have a project that doesn't go right, etc., you've already got enough in the bank that it doesn't withdraw it. Whereas sadly, I do think there are some partners out there, they do a lot of withdrawals and not a lot of deposits. So I think you're a prime example of the one person that does do deposits. What I'd like to talk now is about the Salesforce ecosystem. And, you've been in it for 12 years now, and you've spoken to lots of people, as you said, those conversations. What are you hearing around the evolution of AI? Like, for example, some people are talking about the fact that, maybe an LLM and an interface of that will then sit over the top and you'll have your data in Salesforce, etc., but you won't be a user within Salesforce per se. And, keyboards are gone and we're just all talking, and then the AI talks between itself and everything gets done. That's one view. The other view is no, the incumbents like Salesforce will win the race and you might use Slack or something, but you'll still do the interface through them. I know there's no right or wrong on this and none of us really know. It's a crystal ball question, but what are you hearing out there on ways that people think it might go?
Yeah, I think what you just described, definitely there's two variations of that I also see. A lot of people are really, let's say, enthusiastic, inspired by everything AI can do and can potentially do in the future. So that's really good. At the same time, a lot of my customers, because they're also often more SMB, like the small medium businesses, they're like, well, we're not really sure what the use case is for us because we're not sure if we have enough data. And then there's a step further. Larger customers who say, oh yeah, no, amazing. We want to do this, and this. Well, okay, cool. No problem. Just make sure you upgrade your licenses to this. And, oh, okay, that's expensive. Like, sure, but let's work on creating the business case together. And often we can make that work. But then I'll always say like, okay, so what's your data quality like? I don't say with a smile like that because that will be not professional. 9 out of 10 times when you then gonna have a look like, okay, you can do all these things with AI, but the quality of what comes out, analytics or whatever it generates, that's going to be not great. Then you're spending a lot of money on getting some really, well, not great quality output. Let's work on improving your data quality first and make sure, like after we've improved that or during the process, then we actually keep it consistent. And I know that only half answers your question. And that's also how our clients often feel like, yeah, but now we're doing data quality. We want AI. Like,
Yes.
this
Yeah,
first, then that.
correct. And is AI, though, helping you improve the data quality yourself?
Yeah, there's luckily, I think every month now, there's a new tool that can help you with either enrich your data or help, let's say, fix it. Because of course, there's many different facets to your data quality.
Yes.
I mean, there's still a lot of, let's say, manual work, but more the deciding, like, is this good? Is this bad? Yes or no? Is this complete or not?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think also the data, sorry, also comes with the security as well. So I think that's something that is it's a bit like I remember when, we first got Blackberries and then iPhones started turning up in the office and everyone wanted an iPhone, but IT didn't want the user to have the iPhone, not because they didn't want to give them all the value, but there was a lot of security risk in the business. I think, AI is still going through that journey. I think as a small business owner, it's a lot easier in a small business. Risk is lower and you normally patching systems together. But I think you're right. If you're a large enterprise or a mid-market, it's a lot harder. That constant tension, as I said before, between the SaaS partner like Salesforce and the partners, that's always going to exist. I think the same thing will always be around adoption of technology and the people that are trying to protect it. Have you, in your 12 years with Salesforce, is this the greatest pace of change that you've seen? Or is this, have you gone through periods like this before?
I don't think it's ever been like this, but and for me, it's really a combination of I would almost say a cultural shift after COVID. With like coming to the office, not doing everything remote, a lot more tools, and I think if you have a look at AI, maybe also at the point where we were before COVID with video conferencing tools.
Yes.
So now everyone who's interested wants to know about all the technical details and how does it work.
Yes.
And often, like, you know what? Let's just wait a little bit until technical people and everything have figured it out,
Yes.
and then there's condensed how many tools are available, and
Yes.
then it's more ready for you to use. And I think this, for me, describes in the past 5 years, it's been messy. Yeah, I've never seen it like that. Also, sometimes you hear, oh yes, there's a lot of jobs there in this industry and Salesforce and AI, it's amazing. And then, like, I hear a few other colleagues saying the exact opposite in the same week. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think it's, I suppose, massive change. Personally, I don't think I've gone changed like it. I'm old enough to know the different iterations of, for example, when we went from faxes to spreadsheets, at least it was like one company providing the spreadsheet, right? It was really Microsoft and Microsoft, right? Whereas now the pace of change, like even I know myself with AI, I use it for everything, but I still get, should I use this particular AI for this particular task, or should I do that? And at the moment, I still think it's a little bit, the learning and everything you go through is a little counterproductive to what you should be doing. And I'm looking forward to where that sort of washes out. And like I said, I don't know, will it be, the open AIs of the world that we spend more of our time through, or will it be the SaaS platforms? I don't know. All I'm doing is trying to help educate people as we go through that journey and having a foot in both camps, I suppose. What we're going to do now is pause for a moment. We're going to thank our sponsors, and then we're going to come back with a rapid fire. If you're relying on social media or AI to stay ahead in SaaS consulting, you're missing 90% of the conversation. AI doesn't have access to this information. No algorithm can replace real-world insights from top SaaS partners who've built multi-million-dollar consultancies. Every week, I send a short, high-impact newsletter straight into your inbox. No fluff, no AI-generated noise, just real strategies that work. You'll find exclusive interviews with top SaaS partners and industry experts, behind-the-scenes insights on what's actually working right now, and solo episodes and deep dives you won't find anywhere else on the planet. Recent topics include how top partners build seven-figure businesses without platform dependence, from Salesforce partner to integration powerhouse, and the 5 productivity shifts that doubled my output without adding more hours. This is the only place in the world where you'll get these insights. No recycled content, no AI summaries, just battle-tested strategies that help you land bigger deals and build a business that doesn't depend on you. Want it? Please subscribe now at paulhigginsmentoring.com/newsletter. That's paulhigginsmentoring.com/newsletter. Don't let AI or social media decide what you learn. Get the best SaaS consulting insights straight into your inbox. All right, Andre, you ready for the rapid fire questions?
Yeah, yep.
All right, fantastic. So I'm going to ask you 4 questions, 4 rapid responses. So we talked a little bit about AI then, but what are some of the AI tools that have really impressed you most recently?
I've actually used Gemini, like Google's Gemini, for brainstorming. Because I had a long drive last week and I had a lot of ideas, but of course, no hands to type.
Yeah, and look, I think voice, if you haven't tried it, voice is just opens the next door. And I'm the same. I got a 45-minute drive to my holiday house, and now instead of consuming podcasts, I'm actually having conversations, which is great. And the next one is, we've talked a lot about networking and marketing, gaining business through that, but what do you think is an underrated channel for gaining new leads for a Salesforce partner?
Any type of version of networking. I don't know, it's kind of repeating the question, but yeah, networking. And I know it's a dirty word almost, but there's so many places where you can network and also give back. That's probably actually the answer.
Yeah. Well said. The next one is, where do you go to research more about how to grow your business?
Yeah, peers. So a lot of people that have gone through the same as what I'm trying to reach.
Great. And I think, as we also talked about AI, having those conversations with AI is great as well. And the last one, you've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for 12 years now. What do you know now that you wish you had known earlier?
The public speaking is not scary. It took me way too long to figure that out.
As a mentor once said to me, no one knows what you're going to say. The only person that does is you. So you can't be wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're in, the modern form doing public speaking with this podcast. Hundreds of people, if not thousands, will listen to it. Really appreciate you coming on today. I'll have all the links and I'll talk more about that in the outro. But thanks for coming on. And I suppose I know it's a little uncomfortable for you to talk about all the value that you give to the ecosystem, but thanks for coming on today and sharing that.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
I really enjoyed that interview with André van Kampen. I hope you did too. He's proof that you don't need funnels, ads, or daily posts to grow a consulting business. Instead, André built trust by giving first. He carved out a niche with complex Salesforce projects supported by ISVs who were flying blind and turned community building into a growth engine. If you're a SaaS consulting partner wondering how to win clients without more hassle, this episode is your blueprint. Connect with André at campconsult.com and drop him a note on LinkedIn to say hi and thanks. See you next time on the Paul Higgins podcast. If you've got value today, hit subscribe so you don't miss future episodes and reach out. Let me know you've listened. I'd love to hear from you.